What is up, everybody? This is Tikwe, also known as Richard, and I'm coming back to you with another caster game of Bono. This time, not playing the range, not playing the Rus French or French, not playing the Rus, but playing the French, and he's playing against Sid Dragon, who's also playing a French, so it's a mirror matchup. And it's also a ranked game, so I wanted to kind of show you guys if there was any specific different tactics. You can see both of them immediately going for 6 on the sheep. Next villager coming out also going onto the sheep here for Bono. And on blue side you have the 6 on sheep. Next villager actually going to build a house. So you have a bit of leverage in the beginning, and the French are very strong, especially in the feudal age. If you get the early knights out with raiding on early knights, that's pretty cool. So you need about 8 villagers on food to comfortably produce villagers, knights, and archers. 8 to 10 villagers. So usually what happens is you have your first 8 villagers on food, and then you see right here 8 villagers on food, and basically the same thing down here. Actually 9 villagers on food, going very heavy on food. Also did build a house right here, going for a lumber mill early. Still not on the gold, but after the 8 villagers usually go over to gold. You can see now they're getting rallied here out to the gold, and you usually go for 2, maybe 3 villagers on the gold, and that would be enough to keep up with the knight production, because your knights are not that expensive. I think it's 100 gold each. I think with 3 villagers you'll be able to sustain the production of the gold production of the knights, because you'll have a little bit of gold trickling in once you put down your school of cavalry and you have that extra gold. Now there's 2 landmarks for the French. One is much more present on the on water maps. If you go to the French, the first 2 landmarks is School of Cavalry and Chamber of Commerce, which gives you plus 30% return for access a market or trader, and trader ships return 30% more resources to any market or dock. So I haven't ever seen any early trading happening from the French where, in this type of scenario, there's the market right here. So you would basically have to drop down the market all the way back here and have trading across like this, maybe from behind this wood line right here through all the way down to here. You'll probably get about 100 gold back per trip, but it's very dangerous because you can get raided and you're going against enemy knights, so very difficult to do that effectively. You can see some decent sheep back here for Bono. He brought back 7 sheep. And for Sid Dragon, you can see there's no extra sheep right now, so there might be a bottleneck. Oh, there's actually 2 sheep right here, so there might be a bit of a bottleneck. But you can see Sid Dragon with a perfect micro of 8 and 3, and does reach just under 3 minutes. Actually reaches the feudal age resources, and now going with food villagers. Dropping off that extra food so he can keep the villager production up, because he did have a bit of a bottleneck with the sheep, but now he's using 3 villagers to go up with the School of Cavalry. Immediately the same, you can see 3 villagers, so very, very good on the mirror play here. A little bit of a micro difference on the gold and the food, rotating after the gold to the wood line, whereas Bono did that earlier. So we'll see how that makes a difference, specifically in these mirror matchups, and who gets to take the title of ultimate French player when you're doing stuff like this. Now, I personally think the French, English, Rus, and French, English, Rus, and most probably Delhi. I struggle so much with the Delhi guys. I'm looking for someone who I can cast on my channel that plays the Delhi. I don't have really good experience with the Delhi, and I'd like to ask you guys to comment down below if you are a Delhi player, so I can hop onto your channel and do a casted video like we're doing right here. And it's gold to platinum level players. It's not like Beastie Cutie or Fitzbro or those guys who are, you know, Diamond League and Conqueror League. You know, it's more of a platinum player, like a, you know, your standard day-to-day player that doesn't spend 8-9 hours a day practicing these games, but they can still, you know, make a big difference or play very, very accurately to make a difference on these games. You can see now a villager actually going over to drop down a mill, which is surprising because of all the sheep. It's not a problem as the French, because your resource gathering, like lumber mill, your mine, and your mill, all are cheaper. You can see here they're only 25 wood each. So you don't mind losing this if you had to lose this. But it also gives you the opportunity to get wheelbarrow, and that's the main priority why you would get that out. You can see here also wheelbarrow coming in a bit earlier for Sid Dragon, so maybe a bit more experienced player. You can see that first knight already 5 minutes 20, very nice timing push with the first knight coming out. Two scouts right here that didn't really raid, and nice, it's 6 villagers on gold right now. 3 on gold right here. He did scout out that the knight is on its way, so he did respond correctly by getting the outpost up before that, and the second knight will be out very, very shortly. On top of this, getting the blacksmith out, no upgrades there, but the reason why you want to drop down the blacksmith as soon as possible, like you see Bono also doing, is you immediately get that first upgrade on the attack, so you get that extra +1 immediately just by having the blacksmith. You can see it's 30 there and 30 there. So now a double scout, single knight, double knight, single scout. Right here he actually went for a double scout start, and you know, small little differences like that. But now third knight coming out, and this is 6 minutes 20, so 1 minute into reaching the feudal age, there's already 3 knights. Now what you want to do with these knights is you want to try and focus down corners like this, raiding into here, forcing them to drop down walls, forcing them to drop down resources, forcing them to drop down outposts. So you are basically controlling the tempo of the game, because you have these knights out. We'll look at a Sid Dragon perspective. You can see now these knights here at the back. He knows the outpost is here, so he will get an alarm if he raids this. But Berry, free villager right here. 1, 2. So another thing that you can see, the damage now is not 30, but it went down now. It was 33. So what happens is you get a 25 or 20% damage boost of your knights after the charge. It's important to note that, because if you don't auto attack immediately after the charge and you delay it just by a second, you get that extra +3 damage and you won't leave the villager on 2 health. If you charge and attack immediately, you lose that what can I say, you lose that opportunity to immediately kill a villager. So now it's a bit of a night race. You can see pushing the villagers off, like I said, with the knights here on the wood line. Now rotating over to gold line. You just want to create idle time for your villagers. Now responding with an outpost here of himself. Raiding, I don't think he got a villager right here. Nice positioning of the barracks, I would say, because you can protect these villagers with the spearmen right on top of them. You can see another one down here, but if a spearman chases, right, they only have 70 health, and it's 30 damage once they brace, right? So you'll see they charge. Actually didn't charge. So once they brace, it's 3 shots from a knight to kill a spearman. So really nice grouping coming here out from Bono. You can see there's 3 knights now. He's challenging this raid with those 2 knights. Probably going to lose them if he doesn't micro them, but at the same time he's also trying to get more outposts down. So this is quite difficult, or a waste if you try and get an outpost down like this. I would say if this was the case, go for a little bit of stone and put down a second town center right here. The reason for that is that outpost can only hold 5 villagers. So if you are gonna raid like this, the problem is that you can see he's defending with 2 knights here, 2 knights here. But once you get raided, and if you don't have this upgrade right here, the chivalry, which means that you actually heal these knights once they are out of combat. Let's see if also Bono didn't have chivalry. He's going for a barracks now, so double barracks and double stable. So very heavy on the, probably the Royal Knight production is going to happen here for Dragon. We'll see, because he has the single knight coming out here. This is actually almost a waste. The best way to go into the French player is you already have a school of cavalry which produces you know, these knights very comfortably. You don't need extra stables, and also you get all your stables, all of your stables produce units 20% faster. So they do produce this, the Royal Knights faster. They do get that bonus, not just the School of Cavalry. Also, Royal Institute Landmark reduces research cost by 25%. So yeah, you can get an earlier cost. You can see a nice little raid coming here in from Bono. So he did garrison the gold villagers, couldn't get any, you know, villagers down there. But this is where it gets quite scary. 9 Royal Knights against 6 Royal Knights, and some spearmen coming in there. But once you have a mass of these Royal Knights starting to accumulate, you really need to make sure that you have your spearmen and you have your microing down if you want to challenge this, because they'll just run around your spearmen. Let's say these are your spearmen and these are your Royal Knights, and you charge and they brace. You just turn them back, move them to the side, take a few arrow shots, and then go onto the villagers. And for them to close this gap is very difficult to do that. You can see now another raid trying very just taking free damage from these outposts and everything, while at the same time he's just keeping those knight production happening. So now the right play from Bono, going for a battering ram. The problem is once you get under this tower, you won't have a lot of support, because the town center can isolate and target down the spearmen. You know, the archery range is going down right now. Just a lot of extra wood on Dragon's side. Not really a lot of food, so he's running out of food right here. He's running on 0 farms, no deer secure. So going now with that outpost onto, I guess, then out onto with the with the battering ram onto the outpost, and this is good. You have the spearmen right here, the Royal Knights right here, and this is where what I mean. You can see now. Spearman trying to brace, trying to get any damage in, not getting that in. Town center picking off 3 spearmen in that same time, and now you have the archer mass accumulating here as well. The problem is at the same time he's trying to micro so much, he's not really training extra units, Bono, so he's struggling to get this units out to do any effective damage against the enemy Royal Knights, and at the same time you're losing your Royal Knights. If you go down with these Royal Knights of Bono, which is 4 Royal Knights, you just have spearmen, and these Royal Knights mass is just too much. With the support of the archers, they will just run over you. Now going for a little raid on the battering ram, and just getting 1 or 2 shots in, and then running out of range. And now you can see he's using the archers, the town center, and just using that arrow support to pick off these spearmen. Now it's a very bad situation, because you lost your mass. You only have to start training units now. So you can see there's a few straight spearmen right here in the middle. He had to transition into deer. French player not on a lot of food right now, so he needs to transfer into a secondary food source. So he's moving all the way back here to a safe, very isolated berry in the far corner. You can even wall that off if you needed to. And now more raiding happening. He did actually get a villager here from Sir Dragon. And now another outpost going down. I would have argued 100 wood would just give you a very secure wall down the side here, which forces him to focus on the front of the base, and it leaves your wood line safe, which is a priority right now, because you know that the enemy did bring out archers. So this is late game, early to late game, very effective strategy from the French. You can see the second armor, melee armor, came in for the Sir Dragon because he was fighting with Royal Knights. Now you would probably see steeled arrow slits or iron undermesh come in, depending on what composition you see from the enemy. But you know, these spearmen only get upgraded at castle age, and then you get also access to some early men at or men at arms, not early men at arms. Now you can see the stable and archery range go down. So it's a double barracks, single stable archery range versus a double archery range, double stable, and a school of cavalry. And I'd argue the double stable, double archery range is better than the double barracks, especially against the French. If you are going to play aggressive like you did with a raiding that happened right here when you try to push in, it's going to be much more effective. Oh, and another 3 Royal Knights maybe going down. 2 Royal Knights going down here again. So now it's starting to get very ugly because the Dragon's sitting on 5 Royal Knights right here. No, nothing really in the base, but more Royal Knights just doing some raiding on the food, so isolating or idle timing these villagers, the food villagers, and there's no real extra food after this. That's the thing with scouting. If you had to scout out Sir Dragon in this point, you know, you isolated the berries. The woodline wasn't that important, the gold wasn't that important. If you isolated the berries and you knew about this back food source and you were managing to isolate that, the next safest food source is right here. You can see how much of a defense he has to put in to get all of this food secured. The deer and the berries right here. So if you had to raid the berries instead of this front defensive part of the base, isolate the food and then force him to go idle, excuse me, on the food, he won't have been able to produce these archers, which is 40 food each and 50 wood. So that would be 550 food, which is 2 berry bushes, right? But you're already trading knights and villagers, so you're gonna run out of food very, very quickly if you don't have any food supply. You can see now Bono going for a castle age, which is pretty cool because now you get that decarbonization second upgrade. He's going now for the fitted leatherwork upgrade. He already got the extra upgrade from the archers, which is called Iron Undermesh, and now a counter raid starting from Sir Dragon here, gonna push into the French player, which eventually gets the wall down. So the outpost was a waste, but he does get the wall down, puts down extra houses. Also try to build the houses at the back of your base, because if you get raided and the houses gets destroyed, you lose a lot of units. Now a bit of out of position here. You can see only spearmen here, knights all the way up here, and no proper defense here or units from Bono. He had to transition probably into these berries first before putting down all these farms, because usually the farms are very expensive for any faction other than the English. It's 75 wood each. So if there's 14 farms, you're talking about over 1,000 wood. You can see the difference, that 1,000 wood, and that 1,000 wood is these farms, and that's not a good thing. So you can see that raiding went very effective. Got all the spearmen, and now going into crossbows, which is a pretty good tactic for archery ranges here, but not the right food and gold economy to make these crossbowmen really count, or arbaletiers. If you could have a mass of 20 or 30 arbaletiers really effectively and early, that would be great. But then the right thing would have been to maybe wall this off and put a wall down here, but having to pull more food villagers to get that right. And now you can see more raiding happening here in the far back corner. And I guess the advice I would give from this game would be that, you know, if you played the French, both sides did exactly the same thing. It was a very good mirror matchup. You can see how little damage these arbaletiers are going to do to these Royal Knights if you don't have any masses. Now getting caught with his pants down, with all these food villages going down, and when they fall back, you're going to pull them direct onto your farm, which is now another dangerous source of food, and he taps out. So I would say, as the French, play for time to get either into a mass like what you see right here for Royal Knights and Archers, because that's very difficult to deal with. The Archers counters any melee units that the French can produce in the feudal age, because it's a mirror matchup, and the Royal Knights would just decimate any other units that are available, be it villagers or other Royal Knights, especially when you get the upgrades. But that was another game. Thank you very much for watching, guys. We will start showing you guys more content, especially if you're interested in casting some of your own videos. Drop me down a comment below of your channel and what faction you're playing, and let's see if we can also get some of your videos on this channel. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you guys in the